Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen Scarlet, Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast with a esoteric analysis and review of Girlfriends, episode number 2. The name of this episode is One Night Stand? Question mark. Indeed. The episode aired on September 18th, 2000. If you would like to see the review for episode 1, please go on over to my channel, my uploads. You will be able to find it over there. If you would also like to see the character analysis and synchronicities for the main characters, Joan, Tony, Maya, and Lynn, I also have a video designated to those where I pull cards for each character. Pick a deck style. You can basically choose your favorite character or a character that you're drawn to, or your least favorite character, and I give information and insight as to how and why you are synchronized with your chosen character, and also just a little bit more insight on the characters themselves, the people who created them, and the actresses who played them. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to get into this esoteric review for episode 2. And like I said, the name of the episode is One Night Stand. So before I get into the recap, I want to pull a few cards for the men that we have been introduced to so far. Now, Darnell is mentioned a lot in the first episode as well as this episode, but we have yet to see him thus far, so I won't pull any cards on him yet. I am going to focus on the ones that we have seen, okay? And that would be William Dent, and in this episode we are introduced to Davis. Davis is the owner of 847, the lounge bar restaurant that Joan, Lynn, Maya, and Tony often go to kick it, hang out, talk about their woes, this, that, and the third. So I'm gonna go ahead. I might do a few synchronicities, but you don't necessarily have to pick a character for this one if you don't want to. I'm just going to pull some cards to get a little bit of information on their character composition, as well as the role, the trope that they play in this particular episode, how they help the story move, and the difference that they make in the story. Okay, gonna get into it. All right, so we are starting off with William Dent. Okay, starting off with William Dent because he is the main man of the entire series. Okay, so he plays many major roles, which is why I will continuously do little card pulls on him as I go throughout the series. Okay, so for his first card that we have here, we have the Ace of Pentacles, and what I asked the Divine Realm to get this here card is show me William. Show me William Dent. Show me his overall representation. Show me his overall characterization, his overall purpose, the symbol of his purpose. And here he has the Ace of Pentacles. It is sideways. Why is it sideways, child? Well, the Ace of Pentacles in general does indeed feed into the fact he is male. Okay, so he's got strong masculine energy, but not just strong masculine energy, strong money making energy. Okay, we know that William is a lawyer, and he was one of the youngest lawyers in his firm to make junior partner. He mentioned that in episode 1. William, however, is not a showboater. which is one reason why this is sideways, why it came out sideways. Because William is not a showboater. He is not the stereotypical image or ideal of what masculinity is or what a male is. So a lot of people, and women in particular, may see him as feminine or less than a man or sappy or simp, if you will. And in certain instances, he does exhibit simp behavior. However, William is actually more in alignment with balanced divine masculine energy than the majority of the men that we see in the show. And I'm gonna revisit that when we get on Davis and when we get into the actual recap. William is also not very flossy. Yeah, he wears suits, but then we also just see him in like casual tops and bottoms a lot of the time. He wears a little baby fro. He don't do too much. He might flash his lawyer card, his money card, when he feels desperate for a woman's approval, but it's not something that he's going around like, ooh, I got money, you should fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Because he could easily do that. And he doesn't. He is quite heart driven and emotionally aware with himself, as well as when it comes to other characters in the show, which is probably also why him being a man surrounded by the women that he is surrounded by, why they take to him so very well. But for that same reason, William is often friend zoned. Okay, and that'll be a conversation for another day. Now we're going to talk about his reputation in this episode in particular. And that's when we get over here to this card, which is the communication card. So William's representation, his role, part of his purpose in this episode concerns communication. That is how he helps move the plot and the story along in this episode, and honestly kind of in general. William is a bit of a bone character. Not a bone character. He's a bone carrier. He hears and gets information and he delivers it to the person that it is about. We see him do that in episode 1. Also, different things are going on. He communicates with half of the group, and then he'll go to the other half of the group and he'll get their side of the story and tell them, hey, such and such said this, what you got to say about that, because I got a lot to say. Like, okay. And with that being said, William is often the voice of reason as well. When people are functioning out of emotion and just making rash decisions that could really be handled with a simple conversation, William usually chimes in and is like, well, you could just do it like this. Well, you could just say, well, you could just fuck with me. I ain't problematic. You know what I'm saying? Reason, okay? And with that being said, the rest of what I would have to say about William that would also end up correlating with these cards will be said in the recap and review, and also other videos that I will designate specifically to commentary about William. So stay tuned for that. Moving on to Davis. All right, now we are focused on Davis. So for his character composition representation card, we have the King of Pentacles. Very interesting. Because like I said, William just got the Ace of Pentacles card. So very interesting that Davis now has the King of Pentacles card. And if you recollect who Davis is, if you don't, you should Google it or something. Tune in to the episode, okay? But Davis favors the man on the card. He's not white. He's light skinned, but he wears the like box fade. He tends to have on a suit, statures himself in such a way, you know. And he is not so much of a showboater either, but he is a bit light skin mentality. There's a bit of light skin mentality there. My bad, I'm shaking the table. And what I mean by that is he flirts with all of the women in the restaurant. He tends to just say stuff like "you women." Now that's not necessarily light skin. That's more misogynistic. But he feels comfortable and okay doing that because of, you know, there's a delusion of grandeur there, if you will. That's what I mean by that. He's not a broke man, but he's not the richest man either. But he carries himself as such. He carries himself as if he has standards. He talks about himself as if he has high standards and things of that nature. He's a businessman. Of course, he owns the restaurant. He owns the bar that all of them go hang out at. We have Blue there, which gives into like stereotypically, okay, blue equals boy, right? But spiritually, we know that blue represents the throat chakra. Now, here's another similarity that he has to William, yet in a different way. William is often a voice of reason, whereas Davis comes in with reason, but he's more like the devil on your shoulder in contrast to William being the angel on a person's shoulder, if that makes sense. So while William tends to come from a more balanced masculine feminine energy type of stance and type of functionality, like I said, Davis tends to come from more of a bravado kind of toxic masculine type of mindset. Even though when we see real moments from Davis, he doesn't carry on like that too much at all. He's really, you can see the presence of both his masculine and feminine energy. I mean, he owns a restaurant, for crying out loud. Somebody had to consult with him on interior decorating, right? Mostly women come into his establishment, which then attracts the men that come into his establishment. So he has to be femininely aware in some type of way. But being the fact that he is light skinned and he is in the field that he's in, it's kind of like a mirror of Joan in a way. Joan is in a male dominated industry with her job. And so Joan often has this battle, this conflict with herself between functioning in her wholeness, because she's battling between how feminine she needs to be and how masculine she needs to be, or how masculine she needs to not be in every situation so that she doesn't threaten people or make others feel uncomfortable, things of that nature. So we see that with Davis in the way that he says kind of rude, generalizing, stereotypical, offensive ass shit about women. And it's as if it comes from a place of him being uncomfortable with himself and not being totally secure in his own masculinity. So let's get into what he represents for this episode in particular, and that's what we have, divine masculine, which again correlates with what I just said. And also, Joan refused to give William the time of day. William is often friend zoned. Davis, on the other hand, was engaged and gets more attention from the women. This is due to looks, obviously, and also what I was saying about William and the way that he's in tune with his emotions and in tune with his feminine side. Even though a lot of women say that they want that, that goes against their ideal of what they've been socialized to believe that a man is. Whereas Davis subscribes to that more, even though he, still exhibits certain feminine qualities, which there's nothing wrong with that. But Davis carries himself more so in a way that subscribes and feeds into more of the stereotypical masculine functionality, the toxic masculine functionality, this, that, and the third. And please be clear, when I say toxic masculine, I don't mean that all masculinity is toxic. I mean that the warped perspective of masculinity that enough men perpetuate, that Davis in particular kind of perpetuates, is problematic. So, with that being said, let's get into the reviews. As soon as I can find my remote here, my little remote stylus. All right, top of the episode, we pick up at Joan's place, in Joan's bedroom, and Lynn is in her bed doing what Lynn does, okay? And Joan comes out of the bathroom, drying herself off. It's obvious that she just took a shower, okay? Lynn references that she has been in there for a long time and assumes that she is masturbating. Not just masturbating, but masturbating with the shower head. You know how the shower heads have the modes that you can switch to. If you can take it off, switch mode, this and that. It got massage, mist, jet, all that good stuff. That's what Lynn's talking about. She in there masturbating with the shower head, child. And with that being said, Joan gets an idea in her head to go on back in there and give it a try. Okay, just a little bit about this particular scene. In this episode in particular, it's not exactly as linear as the first episode. So I'm gonna be kind of doing a lot of jumping and like giving commentary on small stuff that I notice in each scene. So in this scene in particular, it's easy to assume that Joan is masturbating because we know that Joan don't hardly get none, okay? So we get a little glimpse into a few desperate attempts. I ain't gonna say it's desperate, but with Joan in particular, it's desperate, child, because she gonna go back in there and make love with the shower head. So, y'all, if you feel comfortable, get down in the comments and let me know about some times where you felt desperate for an orgasm, child, and you had to do whatever it was that you had to do. Let's talk about it. It ain't nothing to be ashamed of, child. It's life. It's what happens. That's why I like doing reviews like this, because it opens commentary, especially with girlfriends, because it's a lot of things that was very ahead of its time as it concerns conversations that women really need to have with themselves and with each other. So what I am happy of as it concerns this scene and as it concerns this topic in particular, even though, it's fun to I'm trying to get my screen to turn back right so I can see my daggone notes. Okay. Even though it's fun and easy to say that Joan is desperate and, you know, she got cobwebs in her drawers and all that good stuff. He, all that good stuff. But I have to give the character of Joan props, right? Because there are a lot of women who, instead of just masturbating and enjoying themselves or enjoying their shower head, they will constantly run back to the same man that dog them, that don't see it for them, that they don't see it for. They will continuously stay with that man, run back to that man, have sex with that man, all for the purpose of not heightening their body count. Because they're so concerned about what somebody is going to think about them having sex with a certain number of people. And that is just so stupid to me. But it is something that is very real because of how women are socially conditioned to feel like sex for them is bad. I'm so sorry. This daggone video. So sorry. A lot of things have been trying to get in my way, but the devil is a lie. The daggone video that I have my binaural beat playing has all these ads for some reason that just come out of nowhere. Okay, we're gonna leave that where it is. Getting back into what I was saying about Miss Joan, okay? And the very real thing about women being socially conditioned to believe that it's better to stay with a man that is dogging you than it is to find a new one. Literally, like, okay, that's gonna be a conversation, a deeper conversation for another video, okay? Because I'm gonna be doing videos with like friends of mine so that we can really nip into some of these topics more in depth and get different perspectives and things of that nature. I just want to put that on y'all's mind that even though Joan shrinks herself to make other people feel comfortable, that is one thing that does solidify and show that she does respect herself and she does have some sort of love for herself in a real way, that she won't just run back to an old dude to keep from heightening her body count, and she won't just be with anybody just to say that she got somebody. Okay, moving on. Moving on to the next scene. William has a date, wants to breathe on people, says his mother lets him breathe on her when he has a date. Now, this is one of the things that could be a turnoff to certain women about William. We love a man that loves his mama, right? Until he expressed his love and his actual dynamic with his mama. And then for some reason, people are then turned off and want to call him a mama's boy. And it's like, oh, you weird, get the hell away from me. Now, granted, he could have just said, you just smell my breath, I got a date, da 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 da. But why do we say that we want certain things? I know why, but we say that we want certain things out of a man, and then when we see those things and it's not wrapped the exact way that we want it, we shun it, laugh at it, and mock it. Very interesting. So they are at Davis's restaurant, which is called 847. And let's talk about 847 a little bit. That number, of course, it is more than likely the number for the address. It's the address number of the restaurant. House of Never. Nothing's a coincidence. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about the angel number 847. it didn't occur to me to research if that particular location is a real location and if it has any historical context. So I will do that after this video, and if so, I'll make another video on it. But anywho, the angel number 847 digs into winning methods, and it's all about trusting your work, trusting your process, trusting yourself, trusting your divine realm. It's about trust, and everything definitely starts with yourself in that realm. But this is talking about trust while in the act of building what you're trying to build, manifesting whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, which is perfect because Davis, being a businessman, has to have a lot of trust in himself, had to have a lot of trust in his plan, in his food choices, and his drink choices, in the layout of his menu, and the ambiance of the restaurant's environment as a whole. He has to trust himself. He also has to trust his employees, trust that they will do everything that they need to do, even when he is not there, even when his eyes are not on absolutely everything. And with that being said, as I go through, I'm going to touch on how that applies to the different characters in this episode, okay? So there's a restaurant, and like I said before, Davis goes around flirting with everybody at the table. That's a part of his money-making skill, okay? He gonna go around flexing, flirting with everybody or whatever. Before he makes it to the girlfriend's table, they are having a conversation about Joan masturbating a lot in the shower. And Joan declares that she hasn't had sex in a year. They start teasing her. Maya said, girl, you know what happens when you don't wear earrings for a long time? The hole closes. And Joan finally expresses her, Joan expresses again about her 3-month rule in depth a little bit this time. She talks about how she won't have sex with a man unless she's in a committed relationship with him for 3 months. Now, child, I originally thought that that meant that she had to know them and be going on dates with them for 3 months. But she said in a committed relationship for 3 months. So I wonder how long does Joan date before they're considered in a committed relationship? Get down in the comments and tell me how long you wait, or what has to happen, what conversation has to happen, what action has to take place in order for you to be considered in a committed relationship. And how long do you wait, if at all, to have sex with the person or people that you are dating? Are you monogamous? Are you polygamous? Are you polyamorous? Let's talk about that. Get down in the comments and tell me a little bit about like what you think about Joan's 3-month rule, as well as some of your own dating and relationship rules that you have simply for yourself when you are in a relationship. Not what you expect out of anybody else, but what you expect out of yourself and the standards that you hold yourself to, and concerning the decisions that you will and won't make when you're in partnership with somebody or when you're dating somebody. I would like to know. So in response to Joan talking about her 3-month rule, Tony basically says to her, fuck your man, get some money. Okay? Fuck your man, get some money. Or in Tony's communication, fuck him and get a car. Okay? So Maya declares that is prostitution, and Tony says, now child, this goes back to what I was saying, child. This goes back to what I was saying about how some women think that it's better to go back to an ex than to be alone or to add another body to your list. Tony says to Joan, call an ex. Go back to an ex. Now granted, Joan is extra difficult and will probably lead you to saying something like that to her. House or never. It's not good advice. says a lot about Tony's mindset. Says a lot about Tony's mindset. And she also says, "You can't get no worse." A mess, a mess. So, in this particular aspect, Joan is being put into a position to trust and stand on her own morals and values, okay? 847, she has to trust the process and the standards that she has set for herself. And is very conflicting right now because she's sitting amongst people who all have different perspectives about her situation and how she should handle it, okay? Now, that is extra difficult for Joan because Joan is a people pleaser. So when a bunch of people are talking to her about a bunch of different things at one time, she don't know who to please. But the ultimate answer is she needs to focus on pleasing herself, which is the art of masturbation. So finally, Davis makes his way on over to the table, flirting with everybody. Joan, in particular, Tony is getting jealous. And Davis has to remind her that he don't make enough money to keep her satisfied and taken care of, okay? But even though, this is interesting too, even though even though Tony does not want Davis, Davis is not her type. Maybe he is. He's light skinned. That's a conversation for another episode. Anywho. But Davis is not her type of tax bracket. And even though she knows that, he knows that, everybody knows that, she is still jealous and bothered that he is not talking to her. He is not flirting with her. He is not giving her all of the attention that she wants. Problematic. But we all have had that one friend, and if you haven't, I'm sorry, but you're probably that one hating ass friend. Oops. So this definitely goes into Tony's insecurities and how their dynamic, at least in Tony's mind, the understanding of their dynamic is Joan is the designated ugly fat friend. Even though Joan is not ugly, Joan is a person who doesn't realize how beautiful she actually is and how great she actually is and what she has to bring to the table. Tony recognizes that because Tony is insecure herself. But because Tony masks it better than most people, it's very easy for her to use Joan as her designated ugly fat friend. So when Joan is getting male attention, Joan is out of line. And those men are out of line because Joan is supposed to be the designated ugly fat friend that makes Tony look better, that shrinks herself in order for Tony to feel bigger and for Tony to feel better about herself. Trash. So, they still having this little conversation about Joan being, lonely and such. I was gonna say something much more crass, but I'm save that. So, continuing the conversation about Joan being all lonely and stuff, and Lynn suggests a one night stand. Joan rejects it, of course, and they end up, oh my goodness, looking at my notes child, but they end up leaving Joan with all their bags, all their baggage, and running off to go flirt with the menses and dance and dip and do it and let have, okay? Now, I want to talk about a little symbolism about them leaving their baggage on Joan. Joan is there for everybody, right? Joan hears everybody out, often without judgment, just, lets them be who they are, and often doesn't try to get in the way with it or micromanage it. But when Joan has a gripe and when Joan is expressing herself, everybody wants to tell Joan what to do. Everybody wants to judge and criticize and mock what Joan has said out of her mouth. Not only that, when they feel like bowing out of a situation, they just bow out and literally leave their baggage with her. They're often leaving their baggage with her to go off and go do something, that they want to do. Granted, Joan needs to speak up for herself. However, just bringing that to everybody's attention, you being the strong one or the smart one in your friend group, and everybody wants to come to you when they need something. Everybody wants to come to you when they have something to vent about, when they have a problem, and you do everything that you can to try to help them. Even things that you don't know how to do, you try to figure out how to do it. You try to find somebody that can help them, but they can just dip out on you like that and leave you to hold a purse. No good. But you gotta be accountable for how you're treating yourself by how you letting other people treat you. Okay? Okay. Child, we get into this whole compilation about the stereotype of black men having large penises, which ain't exactly a lie. But they talk about why they hold themselves, why they hold a thingamajigs or whatever, okay? So funny. One dude talking about he just trying to keep his balance. One dude talking about he just stopped smoking, he needs something to do with his hands. And the other dude talking about, shit, if you had a pocket full of gold, you want to touch it from time to time too. I sure would. I sure would. Now, the purpose of that gets into the stereotypes, gets into a couple of stereotypes of black men and how, Davis with the you women stuff is kind of mirroring and parallel to how the women do William when he's outside of their ideals of what masculinity is. They hit him with some stereotypical type of response. Also, it just gets into how our experience of things, your own individual experience is not everybody's experience. It's not everybody's truth. So before we start generalizing and things of that nature to different people, it helps more so, like who? William? Like William be trying to say sometimes, it helps more so to focus on who you're dealing with at the moment and ask that person why they do what they do. Ask that person who they are, as opposed to just making assumptions and like placing labels on people that are based on other people. Allow people to prove themselves for themselves. On my soapbox with that or whatever. So child, we get on over to Maya over there at the bar, and Tony is swooping on in jealous once again, okay? Because Maya is over there getting some drinks from this dude. And Tony is like, oh no, oh no. Not you over here getting played and you a whole married woman. So child, I had a little exchange and she catch Maya slipping and Maya slip up and say, yeah girl, I got a husband, he know and he don't care because I had him buy these 2 drinks for him. And old boy that bought the drinks come smooth over, take them up out of hand and walk off. Cock blocked. Successfully. One for Tony. So, we flash on back over to William and Joan having a real ass conversation. So they are, kind of talking about their standards and talking about their thoughts as to why they feel like they not getting no play and they haven't found the one, even though, you know what I'm saying, they seem to have everything going for them and they, define themselves as good people and other people define them as good people. why they don't have, you know, nobody to share everything that they have with. So they talk about like, are their expectations too high? Do they like fit into certain calibers and things of that nature, which is a very important conversation as it concerns Joan and as it concerns a lot of women in particular. A lot of women are conditioned and encouraged to, much like Joan, shrink themselves, lower their expectations, lower their standards, because oftentimes men don't want to have to work that hard. They don't want to have to meet a woman halfway, even though they want to be classified as, you know, oh, I'm a man, I pay the bills and da 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 da. But are you emotionally aware? How do you treat the people in your life? How do you treat the women in your life? How do you show appreciation to the people in your life outside of physical things? Because you're not only a physical being, you have a spirit. Use it. Anyway, so, you know, Joan wants to be respected. It's really basic things, and it really be like that. It's really basic things that Joan wants out of a man, which is often with women. You want to be treated respectfully. You want a man that's able to take care of himself and pick up the slack when he needs to. You want a man that will hold a door open for you. You want a man that will fight for you if he has to in order to protect you. You want a man that will, you know, influence you to do good for yourself and for other people. You want a man that's not just looking out for self. You want a man that is just a real whole person that treats people how they want to be treated, that will wait for you, that will be patient for you, that will be understanding and listen to you. Basic, decent human being things, honestly. And it's interesting how people want these very basic things, but will often be caught up in conversation about, do I want too much? Am I expecting too much? Because society likes to make people feel bad about being good. And you're supposed to feel grand and accomplished for doing things that are easy, such as fucking over people and fucking up. That's easy. Do something different. Impress me. Child. So William starts talking about a six pack. Now, this gonna go back to me having to get on Joan's ass. So William offers a six pack. He said, if I ain't got nobody, you ain't got nobody in a certain amount of time, let's just hook up together. Shit, if you any good, I'll put you in for twice a week. Okay? Now, Joan and William have a lot in common and ultimately want the same things, right? Why does Joan not want William? Now, we can say that, okay, she's not attracted to him. She don't have to be. Howsoever, it's very interesting that she's often not attracted to the men that are most like her and that possess the things that she wants. But she's more attracted to the men who are unavailable, who are outside of her standards, who are lower than her standards, who want her to lower her standards. Asking for things that you feel like you don't deserve. Therefore, you won't take it when it's offered to you. So, with that being said, Joan looks in the mirror and is like, I just want to see what I look like when I'm at my lowest. Because she feels like, because William is coming at her, she must be at her lowest. She must be in a very desperate, dangerous place. And she gets in her head that, child, she might as well go ahead and try the one night stand thing. And who does she set her eyes on? Davis. And she zoops on over to Davis and starts doing this very awkward, weird ass flirting, talking about, I'm drunk, I think I need a ride home. And he's like, call a cab, get one of your friends. obviously he's not trying to fuck with her. But she keeps going. She keeps going. Well, I need you and foolishness. So he goes ahead and gives her a ride home and such. Get to the house. She talking about, yes, those stairs. It's just so many. I get tripped up. It's only one stair. Oh, I'm so drunk. I couldn't tell. Girl, bye. So she proceeds to try to, you know what I'm saying, talk him into a little getting into whatever. He got to tell her, pause, I'm engaged. He's engaged, even though he be flirting with everybody in the restaurant. Now, granted, that's his sales pitch, but still, how somebody supposed to know that they can't come at you for real, if you walking around flirting with everybody and you know that you are engaged. So now I got you here at my house and you talking about you don't want to do nothing because you're engaged. Now, props to him because he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He said, I'm engaged. I ain't gonna do it. Joan is a beautiful woman. He could have easily tapped that dial, laid that on, okay? Okay. And he chose not to because he's engaged. He's been a faithful man, at least in the act of everything. So Joan ends up getting sick, throws up on the man, all that shit. And in the midst of them getting cleaned up and all that good shit, let me go back over to the restaurant real quick before we get to that part. So, Lynn, Tony, and Maya are still at the restaurant. They get wind that Joan is going to go ahead and do the one night stand thing, but they don't know who she leaves with. On the midst of them leaving out of the door, Tony gets a little play. Maya zoops on over and says, child, I don't know if you need to be accepting no drinks because ain't you still on antibiotics? And did you contact all your previous partners? Right in front of the man, and he just moves on out. So child ain't got no choice but to leave the club. And back on over to Joan's place, they walk in and see Joan in her robe, Davis all half naked and stuff. Cause he had to clean up his stuff. They had to clean up cause Joan decided to get sick. But he's like, you know what I'm saying, I ain't gonna say nothing. You could tell them whatever happened when I leave out. And they all like, ooh, you know, they assuming that, you know what I'm saying, things went down how it went down, you know what I'm saying? Because they said, you know, she's going to do the one night stand. So they see Davis in there, he got no clothes on. They're like, So you went ahead and took Davis down. Now, here's what's interesting to me. There ain't nobody know that Davis was engaged before this moment. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. So Joan puts on, after Davis leave, you know, she kind of puts on like, you know what I'm saying, they did something. She's like, oh, it's amazing. It was amazing. All that good shit. So get to her job the next day and here go William, the bone carrier. The bone character. That's it, the bone character. He gonna be the bone character. He's the bone carrier. So get in there, child. Okay, yeah, they sitting in her office eating takeout, and William is joking about the six pack, and then he uses that to lead on into Joan being a liar, cause he's like, oh, you something that home wrecker, you know what I'm saying? He accuses her of being a home wrecker, and she's like, I ain't no home wrecker. And he like, no, because Davis and his fiance broke up because he cheated, and we know that you are the floozy. And she like, no, what? I was lying. I didn't know. Girl. And in the midst of her running out the office to try to go like catch up with Davis and rectify the issue, Maya catches her up on the way out of the door and it's like, yo, floozy. Lynn told me when they came in, you was naked as a road lizard, had to run back there and get your robe, and Davis's pants was on the floor. Whore, harlot, whore. So, Joan is trying to do damage control, but ain't nobody trying to hit it. My ass is at her like, girl, you lying about having sex? You just like a man. What is wrong with you? This ain't no after school special. Because she done let these folks talk her into doing stupidity. Anywho, we flash on over to Joan going to address Davis. Davis tell her, fuck out my face with this shit. She ain't got no choice but to get the fuck out his face with this shit. So, back at the ranch with the girlfriends, Joan's house, of course. They having a conversation. Joan is like, oh my gosh, I feel bad. And they are basically like holding her accountable. Kind of still talking to her as if she really did have sex with him. Like Tony talking about, well, girl, when you have one night stands, they have consequences. And da-da-da-da-da. And basically not hearing what she has to say, but also she's trying to blame them, and she can't blame them because she's a grown-ass woman. And it goes back to the 847 angel number. You didn't trust yourself. You didn't trust your own process. You didn't trust your own morals and values, and you allowed them to peer pressure you into doing something that you knew that you shouldn't have done, even so far as to lying about the fact that you had done it, trying to people please and get people's approval. No good. So she ends up back at Davis's restaurant, and she got a whole billfold of honey filled with evidence for his girlfriend. She got receipts. She got gynecologist papers. Just a mess, okay? She like, you can tell her, ain't nothing happened. I'm so sorry. I got the proof. You can hate me. So, Davis is like, it's okay. I don't want her back or whatever. We always had trust issues. She should have just believed me when I told her. Here's the issue. Like, I feel what he's saying. Trust is very important in a relationship. And issues gonna be with him. You know, she didn't need to take his word for it. But it's probably other stuff that Davis had going on that gave her indication that Davis wasn't shit. Because Davis talk all that shit and, oh, she should have believed me, she should have just trusted me. But you literally flirt with any and everybody except Tony in your restaurant, and nobody knew that you had a fiance before Joan lied about having sex with you. So I ain't buying the whole, my mama ain't like her, she should have just trusted me, we always had trust issues, blah. You feeling a little hot right now, and Joan is not a bad catch. On top of the fact she had on this cute little like tank top or whatever, the titties was tittying. She ain't even got that many, but they was doing what they needed to have done. She had her hair pulled back. You could see all the wonderful bone structure, those big beautiful eyes carrying on. And she had on just some simple little jeans or whatever. Okay, the hips was hipping and the booty was popping. So he up there talking about, oh, well, I might forgive you if you told them a good story about me and da 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 da. Oh, you just told them I was good? It was just good. Well, maybe I can get a higher grade. Let's have dinner tonight. And child, Joan is elated. She ain't caught none of the red flags that I just mentioned. You know what I'm saying? It don't even occur to her. But, you know, she's elated. We see her little inner monologue flash or whatever. But in actuality, in the conversation, she turns him down. Because apparently she had a talk with God about if she was able to rectify the situation, that she would stick to her 3-month rule going forth. So she sticks to it. She finally got the picture. She learned her lesson in this episode. She did learn her lesson in this episode. And she tells him she's going to stick to her 3-month rule of waiting until she is in a committed relationship for 3 months before she has sex. And Davis is smooth on the ooh. you're gonna have to move around. I ain't gonna be able to do it, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to jump back in a relationship, which is understandable. And which, again, I have to give Davis his props for being honest. That was something that, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't feeling. He wasn't going to be able to do, because he easily could have, you know, played on Joan's emotions, led her to believe that he would possibly commit to her sooner than later and things of that nature. But he just wanted to fuck. And he made that clear. So that is a redeeming quality about Davis. It just goes so back and forth because he does questionable things. He does very questionable things. And then when it comes down to certain moments, it's like exactly what Joan had said about him at the beginning of the episode. Joan calls him a tease. And that's exactly what he is. He's a tease. He does certain things to like lead women on, and it's also giving me that it is to gain the approval and validation of other men. He does and kind of says what he feels like other men would expect him or want him to do and say in certain positions and in his, you know, the roles that he has in life. But then when he's on a one-on-one with a woman, you know, his honesty comes out, and it's just like, okay, well, why do you carry on like this? Because he feels like that's what's expected of him. But in all actuality, that's not him at heart. So that's low key, high key. That's low key, high key. The conclusion of the episode, the conclusion of the plot. The last scene just goes back to Joan getting home, and she has a new shower set. She has a new massage shower head set that she proceeds to go and install so that she can have a blast with her new shower husband. And that is the end of this recap and review. What I will do is pull just one card, final message card for this episode, in particular, alchemy and the number 8. So y'all, what's crazy, that literally is a main theme as it concerns the 847 angel number, which is the name of Davis's restaurant, 847. And like I said, in this, you know, episode, that was a theme within this episode: trusting yourself, trusting your abilities in the midst of you committing to alchemy, alchemizing whatever it is that you want to attract, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. And with Davis, you know, he has his business. He had his fiance, and that applied again when it came to his fiance, when they had the disagreement about Joan. Now I got to give him a little bit more props here, because with that same notion about basically sticking to your guns, sticking to your morals and values, trusting your process, trusting your divine design and your divine realm and your divine timing, Davis had a standard of, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, they need to trust me. They need to trust my word. So if I tell her that nothing happened, she needs to trust me. And if she don't, that's a deal breaker. And he stuck with it. Regardless of anything else, he probably really did love her and all this, that, and the third. But trust was important to him. And even though he is looking sketchy and looking like a cheater, he stuck to his guns. Like, I'm not fixing to beg you. I'm not fixing to demean myself in order to prove something to you, when you should trust me. If you know me well enough, then you should know, you know what I'm saying, what I'm doing and not doing. You should be able to also tell when I'm lying and when I'm not. And he stuck with it. And like I just said about the moment with Joan, he was honest. he know that he was not trying to get into another committed relationship, and he was honest with her, like, I ain't trying to do that. We just need to be friends. He was even honest with Tony and saying, look, I don't make enough money for you, so I ain't even gonna go over there. Okay? Trusting your morals and trusting your values, and what it is that you're trying to build and what it is that you're trying to create. For Joan, she's trying to manifest partnership, and she often goes back and forth questioning her morals and values, questioning herself. We see Tony often questioning herself whenever Maya is in the picture, and also throughout the club, she's not getting played with certain men. She's no longer trusting herself. She feels like she's not the youngest woman in the club. She's not trusting her divine timing, because even though Tony carries on a certain way, she still wants that divine partnership. She wants companionship, and she wants to have a family. She wants to be married, things of that nature. And above all else, she really just wants to be loved. She wants to be wanted. She wants to be desired. Lynn is always trying to find herself, child. And even with that being said, she sticks to her guns. She has an amalgamation of friends who all have their own opinions about how she lives her life. We know that she's trisexual. She would try anything at least once. She sticks to that. She doesn't budge. So she's another one that functions in this very well. William sticks to his guns. He tries out his little online stuff, but he is true to himself, and he doesn't mind playing the waiting game. Even though he's been rejected by Joan, he doesn't mind playing the waiting game. He still keeps hope alive that, you know what I'm saying, Joan will one day give him play. And even if she doesn't, he still loves her enough as a person to still be a friend to her and be there for her. And that's all I got. Ain't got no more. Feel free to drop down in the comments and give me an 847 story of your own, or 847 revelation of your own. A time where you had to depend on the trust of yourself, period. While everybody is trying to tell you something different, you just in this position of having to stick to your own morals and values. And you can tell about a time where you did it despite peer pressure, and you could talk about a time where you went back on your morals, or you know what I'm saying, you lowered your standards in order to make somebody else feel comfortable. And let me know how that worked out for you. Let me know how you learned from your experience. No judgment zone over here. And of course, when I do my commentary vids on specific things on here, I will end up, giving y'all a couple of my own stories concerning some of these situations. So I hope that this was quite educational, enlightening, and entertaining for you all. I hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe, and that you will come on back for more things that I post, okay? Share, because I care so much about you and what it is that we do. And child, I ain't gonna hold y'all no more. We're gonna get on up out of here. This has been the Girlfriends Review for episode 2. Peace.